So thank you for taking time to come into the Wellness Hub. Can you please introduce yourself to the audience and tell us who you are?
Yes, my name is Ewunike Akpan. Thank you so much for having me here, Marcia. And I like to refer to myself as a exercise health and wellness advocate, meaning that I advocate for us, everyone who I meet at
Mhm.
some point early in our conversation learns that I am passionate about people being able to experience the full mobility of their bodies as much as they possibly can, for people being able, and by doing that, that means then that they have to, you know, live their life a certain way. And I like to talk about that. I like to share
Ah,
what that can mean specifically for that person. So 24 years certified as a personal trainer has led me now to talking about a lot more than just how to build your biceps, right?
yes, yes,
How to get a flat
amazing.
tummy.
Wow. Okay. So tell me a little bit about how you got into it. 25 years. You're an expert. You are like in it. So how did you get into it 25 years ago?
Like initially
Yes.
get
Yes.
into,
Yes.
you know what? I had a foundation for getting into fitness laid for me early in life that I wasn't present to, I wasn't paying attention to at all because it was in my environment. Growing up, I had a mom. My mother was an aerobics dance instructor. Like, let's go all the way back to the late 70s, early 80s, well, probably early 80s. And my mom had on the leg warmers. She was teaching the ladies at the local YWCA in Detroit, Michigan, where I'm from, how to move and groove across the floor. Everything was totally like coordinated to the music. And I went to those classes with her in the evenings. I saw her do her thing. I didn't pay any attention really to what was going on because that was my mother's thing and I was a little kid. But I was exposed to that. That was a part of her life. So it was a part of my life.
Right.
And I saw her getting those women together. Then my mother also was a runner. So this is completely unusual, though, that you'd see this Black woman running around throughout the year in Detroit, Michigan, and like getting her friends and, mostly women to go with her. But I was that kid riding my bike next to my mom as she trained for marathons and she just did her thing, what made her feel good, and built a community. So I really have to preface me getting into personal training as a certified trainer with that story because that has just been a part of my life. And I know that had an immeasurable just like impact on me, imprint in me. And it's pretty incredible to have had that example. But I officially decided that I wanted to really looked into personal training after participating in an amazing bike ride experience that I had. I decided to sign up for the AIDS ride. Do you remember the AIDS rides that took place in the US in different cities, from city to city?
Right.
So there was a ride that I trained my butt 6 months to do 330 miles to ride from Raleigh, North Carolina to DC. I was living in DC, so I trained in DC and I trained with an amazing group of people. And it's so funny too, because where did I train? I trained at the YMCA in DC. So I'm like it's like this circle is starting to like come back around from my childhood, right? Because here I am, a member of the YMCA downtown, which was close to my job, but became kind of like my happy place because I hated my job at this time. So I would go to every night after work. I was like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here. Just go where it just felt more energetic to the gym. And it was a huge building, huge facility. Have you ever been to the old YMCA in
No.
DC, which used to be on Rhode Island? And what was that, like 15? It was like a 4 or 5 story building. It was huge gym. It was amazing. It's now some office building or
Right,
something.
of course, I was like,
I think they turned it into a WeWork, like after a while. So, you know. Gosh. So, but I was going there and I saw this sign for this bike ride, for the AIDS ride. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. That sounds great. Yeah, I'm going to ride over 3 days, 330 miles. Yeah, this is amazing. But I did it in honor of my cousin who had passed away from AIDS. I decided to dedicate my training, my fundraising
Wow.
in her honor. And that experience was transformational. It really was. That word we use a lot, but had I not participated in that
Mm,
experience, and had I not then found within me the motivation to get other people to start working out with me, kind of like, again, following that example of what I saw my mom doing
right.
without thinking about it. All I knew is I didn't want to die somewhere on the way from Raleigh, North Carolina to DC. So I was like, hey guys, they said that we have to like build our shoulder strength. Like we have to work on our lower back. We're going to be riding all these miles, but we have to have strength in other areas of our body too. So come on, let's go do these tricep press, or let's go do these push-ups. So I was just like, look, I'm not dying by myself. Let's go.
Wow. Yeah.
I started taking people who were in the same training program for the ride with me, who were at the Y. We used to do spin classes together. And they had no choice. Like after class, I'd be, we were tired from our little 45-minute ride. But I was like, okay, so now it's time to go and do these weights, because that's what that's what this book said. I was like opening up magazines at the Safeway grocery store. I was reading all these extra. I didn't know. I was just like, they just said, and I'm not trying to die. That's So that was my motivation. That can get you pretty far, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, of course. Survival of the fittest, right?
I came back from the ride and I just loved the experience with the people that I had. I made so many good friends. People started giving me feedback, Marsha, about the exercises that we were doing together. They were like, you know what? I was stronger on my ride this past weekend. I felt like my shoulders were stronger, like I held myself up better. I had more endurance. I think whatever we're doing is helping me. Whatever those exercises that work out, I'm coming after class this weekend. I was just like, bet. I was like, okay, let's do it. So that just again started to it was the information that I need, the feedback, like, oh, this is working. I felt the difference myself, and the other people in my training program that were going with me, it became like a regular group. And we were all in there doing whatever, not whatever, like, again,
Right.
I had
Yeah.
the magazine, but did I really know how to coach them? I was like, okay, number one says, and I was reading out the magazine. But I was like, what is this? This is personal training? Okay. I went back, I talked to the director of the Y after the ride. We didn't die, by the way,
Of
obviously. We
course.
all made it back. It was amazing. And when I got back, I was like, so what's this, that I just did, that I just help people do? Like, I
Right.
see other people with this t-shirt on in the gym, right, which says trainer. And is that what this is? Am I a trainer?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing because, when I think about it, right? Just kind of thinking about your whole story that you shared thus far, it's interesting because when people want to start making a change or when people really want to do something, there's an intention and a goal. It helps them stay disciplined. So you honoring your cousin, right? You're like, okay, I want to do this. I don't want to die, right? And so then how do I build a community? How do I get to go along this trail, this navigation of I know what I want to do, but it sounds like you did was, hey, I know what A is, I know what Z looks like, but how do I get it? How do I get to the end goal? What are the steps in between? And it sounds like you built it, like, hey, come to the YMCA because you already had muscle memory about what the YMCA was with mom, right?
Mhm.
And
Right.
it gave these memories that even like in your blind spots you didn't really know, but you knew what the YMCA meant to you.
Yeah.
And and it bloomed and blossomed. Like it sounds like, hey, I'm going to plant this seed. I'm going to dedicate this to somebody. And how do I get to the end goal? Because this is my intention of what I want to do. And it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like I want to be your client, right? Like I would, because it's not based on, hey, let me get this bicep, let me get this tricep. It's, hey, what's this lifestyle? What is your intention? What do you want to feel like? What do you want to look like? How can we get you to be disciplined? Because anybody and everybody can be disciplined. You just got to tap into the right formula. And it
Right.
sounds like you did that, right? You did that, and which is so amazing of like you went back to the roots. You went back to the roots, the heart of who you were, right? A generation before, mom, she did that in
Yeah.
Detroit.
It really
Love that,
blossomed.
right?
It was like a blossoming along the way of this passion that I have that, just kind of got stirred up by that experience, but it did definitely feel comfortable. I was going to the why, and it like felt like a comfortable place to be after leaving a job where I was not comfortable. And that's how I would end my day, after working out. And I felt much better
Right.
leaving there. And that was a more comfortable place for me to be in this big facility with all these weights and all this stuff, because I had that relationship with being in a similar experience. You're right, growing up as a kid with my mom. And so it was, and I like to say blossoming because I knew the end result to the degree that I had experienced my own transformation. Like after the ride, there were a lot of like ahas through that whole process. But to be able to ride 100 like, I didn't even have a bike when I decided to do this. I was not even a bike rider. So like I went to like 0 to, and I tend to do that, like put it out there, like, oh yeah, I'm about to go surf, and like I've never been surfing, or I'm about to. So here I am saying I'm gonna do this 330-mile bike ride. Then it's like, oh, so I got to go buy a bike first. So, but the intention was there. It was immediate as soon as I saw that sign that that's something that I wanted to do. And yeah, I wanted that community around me to do it. And it was kind of built in already with that program, but I expanded that and I found my people even within that community.
Right.
And, when I did get certified after I came back, and very entrepreneurial minded, again, having seen entrepreneurship in my own family really early on. Both my parents had, as we call them these days, side hustles. you know, that's just the way it was. Growing up in Detroit, everybody did something else besides what you did 9 to 5.
Right.
Everybody did. In my community, that was just like a given. So I created my own fitness business once I got certified, and I called it LOTUS Fitness. LOTUS Fitness, which is a flower.
Yes.
It blossoms. But I have the acronym LOTUS for leading others to unlimited success, right? That's what LOTUS stands for, because that's what I saw as the possibility of what I was able to do
Right.
in that process of just us training together, being together, showing people. At the time, it was just all about exercise. Functional fitness was the thing. This was the early 2000s, and we were learning how to move our bodies in ways where we weren't designing programs that didn't rely on, just using the stationary equipment at a gym.
Right.
Like how to move in a way that would transfer to you being, out in the real world and picking up groceries or picking up your kids or running around. And so that was the thing. That's what I was learning. That's where it started for me, and it's expanded from there. But it really was blossoming for me along the way to get where I am here today.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about your business now as it's grown, it's shifted as you've grown as a person, he has evolved. Tell me a little bit about now what you offer, because I know the last time we talked, you talked about essential oils, so there's some yumminess in that, right? So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about where you are, what are your offerings, like what do you really enjoy? Like what do you like, oh, you can do your work in your sleep, like, or you can stay up and be like, it just brings you like passion and joy and stuff. What do you offer now?
Yeah, like my thing right now really is it's always going to be movement.
Okay.
It's always going to be movement. That's natural. I don't feel like myself unless I have had some activity within the day.
Okay.
And not and it doesn't happen every day. So I still enjoy movement, sharing the benefits of that. But that's evolved for me, and it's evolved for those that are around me. And that's just natural. I mean, I've been, again, like we talked about, 25 years. It looks different, right? And I have now a 5-year-old. So my life is way different. But along the way, within the past 5 years, I have gone back to learning a little bit more about essential oils. During the pandemic, I had my daughter like right at the beginning of the pandemic. And big life change was for us in my family was a move out of the country, out of the US to Mexico. And which the pandemic really kind of gave me the space to do, because I started training my boot camp members, my personal training clients, just virtually. So I was able to do that from anywhere I had internet connection, which was amazing. So, but I had a young daughter, and I was a whole new, I keep saying a whole new awareness for care, for wellness came about, and a awakening, if you will, to doing taking care of my environment, taking care of myself with natural solutions is a big kind of like umbrella. But it was an immediate need when there was a pandemic going on and everyone was talking about the virus and the threat. And I wanted to figure out how to take care of my family in a way that was more holistic. Because,
Right.
at the beginning, I was hoarding like all the Lysol wipes. I was like, I can't get enough of all the Lysol wipes possible, in the store, because I have this baby who's like eating off of every surface, and I'm just like afraid of the virus. It's kind of weird. That was me. And then I learned how, with lemon and white vinegar and some distilled water,
Exactly.
I can definitely,
And tea
more
tree oil, like yeah.
and tea tree oil and all the things. And I was like, but I know, I had my lavender oil, I had peppermint, some things, but I started being educated. I actually listened to a Facebook Live that a leader within doTERRA had shared about natural cleaning in the home. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, it blew my mind away that I could bring some tea tree oil, spray down my countertops, and I could be doing the same thing in a more economical way, in a healthier way for my family than, using all these Lysol wipes, which I had stored, because I was like, we're not going to get this virus.
Right.
So that really, again, just like me, just like going all in, just like, for the learning part of it, I dove into essential oils and tried to learn all the ways that I could incorporate them into my life throughout the day. So that meant like cleaning my countertops. That meant putting them in the diffuser, cleaning the air. That meant using them internally. That meant using them with my daughter to help her to sleep better. That meant using them when we did just get like congestion. And I mean, like all the ways I was researching. Again, I don't want to die. Maybe that's like a common theme in my life. I don't want to die, so here we go. Like, what do I have to do? I'm training again. I'm in training.
Well, we know the success rate is high. So, hey, I would go with
Kind of
you.
the way I work, my mind works, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you
I
gotta be
would go with you
motivation.
on that trip because, hey, if you didn't even have a bike and you went from, yeah, that says a lot. So, okay.
I'm gonna do my research, Marsha. I'm gonna do my research. I'm a practice. I'm a train. I'm going to do it first on myself before I share it with others,
Mm,
and that's what I've done. And that's where my passion really lies now. It's the wellness umbrella has expanded so much beyond exercise for me as I've incorporated the use of essential oils, specifically doTERRA essential oils, which are 100% pure. And I've learned about all the places around the world where they source their oils from and the communities that they are working with the farmers to source sustainably the oils and all the benefits, but not only from the physical, which I was originally aware of, but then I learned about the emotional components of the oils. And so as someone who's been a trainer for this long, you also, in a certain way, become someone's therapist when you're talking to them and you're teaching them how to move their body. They feel very vulnerable, but at the same time, very open because you develop a relationship with them. And so I have heard a lot of different, life stories along the way. And I wish that I would have had access to the knowledge that I do now around the emotional benefits of essential oils because, a little bit of lavender goes a long way for relaxation and
right,
for calm.
right.
It really does. And so that's where I'm now, what I've been doing over the past 5 years is incorporating the sharing of oils for our physical health, which helps to elevate and have helped my clients to have just great breakthroughs where they weren't getting the benefits that I was trying to help them achieve with just the physical exercise because they weren't sleeping properly because or enough or well because they had digestive
Mm,
issues, or stress. Okay, like everybody can relate to that, and we're really needing ways to manage those areas so that they could get the most out of the other things that I was sharing with them. And so now it's like it's another layer of this blossom of this flower, for me, just really of being able to be an advocate for people
right.
of incorporating healthy lifestyle choices, and it includes essential oils. I use my oils throughout the day, and I try to share with people how they can too, and how it can help to regulate their emotions and help them to clean their home and help them to do like a million different things.
Right. So I have a question, right? So let's
Yep.
think about one of your clients, right? If they're sore, say you took them through a rigorous
Yeah.
workout, right?
Yeah.
Um, or they just started. Say somebody just started because I played
Yeah.
basketball in college, preseason, all that good stuff. And so it's like when you first start working out and you haven't worked out in a long time, the next day you can't walk. Like the next two
Yep.
days you can't walk, and you it's almost like this scratch. You can't itch. Like it's like it's in between like your
So deep.
joints. You can't even get to, right? So what would be something, an essential oil, right, that you would recommend for that client? Because
Yeah.
we want them to come back because I think that that can be scary for people.
Yeah.
Right? That could be like, oh hell no, right?
It's true.
Or they
They
could
don't even want to move sometimes after a session.
right.
It's just like I couldn't, seriously, I've had people be like, I couldn't even sit down.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you again. Like, I love you, but I'm like, I need to see you. This is
Right.
not for a second. But you're absolutely right. So that's a very common, result of exercise, delayed onset muscle soreness as an athlete or just as an average person. If you do something differently with your body, you are typically going to feel it the next day or maybe even 2 days later if you do anything type of vigorous or out of the ordinary for you. And so oils that address that topically on the body are going to be peppermint, which is going to go deep into the area, the site, like where you have soreness, or wintergreen is also a really good oil that will help to relieve muscle tension. That's what that is. But internally, calming down the nervous system is also something that can be addressed with essential oils. I love the wood oil copaiba. Copaiba is an oil from a wood in Brazil that addresses our nervous system and helps to calm that down. And so that's a very effective oil. And I recommend that to my clients that they're, and I let them know, of course, upfront that with this workout in a couple of days, or if not tomorrow, you're going to feel this. And it may not feel like, oh, that good kind of sore. It may be a little bit more intense than that. And so this is what you're going to use. So that's where, the preparation first here mentally for people to know. And then just other oils that are calming. Lavender, you can also take internally if it's 100% pure, and helps with rest. So that's going to just like a general prescription or suggestions that I would apply. But yeah, I've had even like doTERRA has, and we can get more into specifics. They've addressed pain in because it is something that we as a society deal with chronically, right, in our bodies, and we just I think also as a group have become used to living with a certain level of pain, and so stretching doesn't always address that.
Right.
And that's been a part of my exercise, but sometimes it's a little bit deeper than that, especially when it's showing up consistently and chronically. And so a lot of times that pain, though, that we're experiencing in our body is because of what is going on for us emotionally, what is going on for us mentally. Yeah. And I know that because I'm hearing these stories from my clients about what's going on in their lives. So I know that that the stress on the job, the stress in the family, the stress just from our everyday just existence and what we have to prepare ourselves for as we walk out the door is also causing that tension on top of their the workouts that they know that they need to do just to keep their bodies physically healthy. So there's a regulation there that I'm able to help share with them now with the use of essential oils that is which is something that, again, I really wish I would have had access to and known about years and years ago, but I do now.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. So my question would be, if somebody wants to come, they're thinking about training, right? And they're really scared of, I think it can be very intimidating, and I love the integration of essential oils. What would be 2 or 3 things that you would tell them? Say they're coming to you, right? They're new. They've wanted to get into the gym or get into training, but they're just a little bit fearful. What would be 2 or 3 things that you would offer them guidance to navigate that space, to seek it out? Do you have any?
Yeah. Thank you for that question, because that has probably been the majority of the people that I've worked with, that there has been some hesitation, some trepidation about it, because I've worked with so many, and primarily my clients have been women.
Okay.
Throughout my training, they are women who have dedicated so much of their time working on building safe families and healthy families and communities around them, and have worked within their corporate environments, or even if they were entrepreneurs, so hard that along the way, they continue to put off that self-care, that real self-care on a deep level, of getting sleep, of getting rest, of movement, that when they then come to me, they kind of feel like I don't really even know if this is going to do anything, but maybe even their doctor said that, hey, you need to address some things that are showing up that I'm seeing, whether it be on the scale or whether it be in this test here, and that exercise will help. So there's a little bit of fear, and I sit down and have consultation and relate to them and let them know that we are going to address one thing at a time. We're not going to do diet. We're not going to go all out and like pick a date on the calendar for you to do this event. No, we are going to break down this overarching goal of just becoming healthier. Really, that's what it is, in bite-sized chunks. And I let them know where we're going to start. Like, we're going to map it out, because having that plan in front of you helps to calm the nerves. And when we do actually interact and have an exercise session, then there's always an assessment, and I'm discussing them what I'm seeing. And so I'm getting a lot of feedback from them. And I'm also at the same time getting, their confirmation of this is how they're feeling in their body. And so we're addressing that, and I'm positively reinforcing for them where they are and encouraging them, like, good for you. Right. And congratulations for taking this step, because once you make a decision to hire that trainer or to go into that gym, like, that's half the battle, really, right there. That decision that you've made, that person that is going to show up for you, that trainer or those people who are going to be in that exercise class are going to help to hold you to account to showing up on a consistent basis, which you really need. But you are making that step in that gym or to make that, set that up. And so I really congratulate, and I hold them, in high esteem for having, not putting themselves off more and more, further and further, because it takes a lot. Sometimes people have just, they feel like they're a lost cause by the time they sit down with me, and it's absolutely not the truth, not at all. I just really try to, let them know, like, I got you, like, you're good here. We're just going to take this a little bit at a time. And as long as they're realistic I have to set expectations, like the six-pack abs are not coming tomorrow. So we're going to work together, and we're going to do this in a way that is going to support you, for you to have for this to be a part of your lifestyle. That's always been my thing. Like, I want for movement to be a part of your lifestyle. And so I'm sorry, I'm just rambling on.
Oh, no. I think
to move in a way that's consistently doing something that brings them joy. So that's always a part of our first conversations. Like, if there was one activity that you could do, it's an activity, but you don't consider it exercise. Like, what is it? Is it roller skating? Is it dancing? Is it swimming? Is it if you just like go out for a walk? What is that activity? And I really discuss that a lot with them. And I really talk to them a lot about how can you do more of that thing? Because if you do, then you're going to just be more active, more consistently. So like, let's, how can we set that up so that you are doing that more often?
That's amazing. I love how you talk about the fear and how you do a consultation, and thinking about the women that you've been working with, or even I can think about when you were working the job that you were working, you were like, hey, I'm going to the gym after work. And to hear you say, we're gonna really peel back the layers, and we're going to deal with it in like small chunks, right? We're not going to deal with it all at once. And I think about women like you and I, right? We can divide and conquer. We can do it, we can set out. But I think when it comes to us, we want results right away. It's really because they've seen, oh, I can touch this and it turns to gold. But I really like that philosophy of, hey, we're gonna pull it back. We're gonna set this goal. It's gonna be small. And so then you're gonna build the momentum of success. How does it feel to complete this task, and to then complete the task and the buildup? I think think that's dope. And I think that also it's the lifestyle, right? I think for me, playing basketball, playing sports since I was 6, and then up
Oh,
until,
wow.
right? Um,
Yeah.
it's interesting when I came back from grad school, I got on the mat, I got on the yoga mat. I don't want any
Mm,
type of competitiveness like that
right.
in the court
Uh-huh.
in any sport, but it's
Mhm.
movement. And then I was like the heaviest I was ever a couple years ago before COVID. And then I lost 43 pounds through eating, through just food.
Mhm.
And it was my relationship with my food, the relationship that I had with food before. And so it's
Mhm.
interesting because it was a program, it was a process, it was discipline, but having somebody next to you saying, "Hey, we're going
Yeah.
to do this. I got you. Hey, where did you slip up?" Not penalizing, and it sounds like that is what you do, which is so dope. Of how do you get to move, right? You said something earlier, you're like, "Hey, how do I make sure my environment is okay? It is clean, it is
Mhm.
stress-free." Like
Mhm.
that is big and people don't realize the power
Right.
of one's environment and how it can
Yep.
impact positively or negatively, good or
Yes.
comfortable or
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and what it can do to their body and why their body
It's
might
like,
not be losing the weight or toning the way it wants to, you know? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like the thermostat in your home. You wake up and it's cold. You're going to go turn the heat up so that you warm up, that you're controlling the environment, right? And we have the ability to do that in so many other ways in our environment as well, with just the temperature,
Yeah.
with not with just the temperature. It can be with, adding plants to our environment, right? It can be with, organizing things in a certain way. That's why feng shui is like a whole thing. Like there's a certain energy balance with
Right.
how you put the things in your space. It can be with, I set the temperature in my house every morning by diffusing
Mhm.
essential oils based on what we need. If it's a pick me up, I'm putting in wild orange and peppermint. If folks are just already just like waking up, like rushing around, whatever, we may need to calm it down a little
Right.
bit, get a little center, and I may put in some Spanish sage so we can all think clearly as we're moving out the door. So you get to set the temperature with essential oils, which I love sharing with people because they're not aware of that.
Right.
And we're doing it in a healthy way. We're not opening up the can of air spray, and there's that whole thing, which we really think is healthy or we think is, the way to make you feel a certain way. Um, and I just really have always been about sharing options, alternatives, natural ways. And once people know about them, they're like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." They're good with it, but they just don't know.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
that for me, this is why I'm doing interviews like this, right?
Hmm.
Because there's so much information out there and I want to
Yeah.
get to the experts so then people can share, right? I can't study everything. I love to learn, right? But I can't say, let me go study training, right? I have my
Yeah.
own experiences. Um,
Right.
but I think what you're doing is amazing. And I have a question. So if we think about one thing, because you've been dropping gems, right? What's one thing if somebody could walk away from this interview? What's one thing that you would want them to take away?
Um, what something I used to do with my clients years ago is I used to have them keep a journal.
Mm,
I gave them the journal of their exercise that we would do together because I wanted them to actually have that tangible record of
mm,
our workout sessions and for them to see that progress because there was always progress.
hmm.
And when they would come to me and we're like flipping, 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 and I'm just like, oh, look at all these workouts we did. Look at this date. Look at how long we've been. Look at this. And they just be like, yep, smiling. That heart center just like starting to fill up a little bit, no matter how they felt when they came in the door that evening for that session or what happened that day. If I'm pointing out to them what that what that looks like, what they've done, and even getting down to the weight or the number of squats maybe that they did 3 weeks ago to how many they're able to do today. and point that out to them, they're just like, oh yeah, like, right, I can do that. I would say that it's very important that we just kind of get back to the basics of recording where we are.
I love that.
I mean, it's so simple, like recording where you are today. And if there's something that you are wanting to fit into your daily routine, whether it's drinking water, right? Write down how many cups you drank today. What is your goal,
Right.
right? And keep record of it. Keep record of it and see how many. And just having that record, that piece of paper, that it could be a post-it note, and you're just checking, keeping it simple,
Yeah.
but keeping a record of it, I think is just so powerful and has so much value for us when we can actually see that and see our progress in front. It doesn't have to, it can literally be on a post-it note.
I love that. I love that. Where can people find you, my dear? Because I think I am going to see about your services, because there's something I would want you on my team. And I'm really big on a wellness team, right? I'm really big on the importance of that, because people don't understand as we get older. We need to understand we have agency over our wellness, but also we need a team of people who are in spaces that we may not be in. And so if they're
Yeah.
in a space that we might not be in, they can then give us information. So it's interesting to say, hey, I don't want to die, right? So there's that. I just interviewed a doctor. She's a heart specialist, and she has 100 club. She calls it the 100 club. What can I do to get you guys to the 100 club? So when you have a provider, a wellness provider, a person in the space that wants you to live life, then they see life differently, right? Where you're like, hey, I want to live, right? And by any means necessary, I'm going to make sure I get information that I can get for myself and my family, but also I can give to other people so they can live that way too. And I think that's
Yes.
so amazing, everything that you do. So where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Ewunike Akpan. I know you're going to share the information on how to spell my name, but I'm just Ewunike Akpan on Instagram, and reach out to me there. That's probably the best place. I have a great ebook that you can download to get more information on specific oils to use as a pre-workout protocol, which I've been using with my clients, which is amazing. Just 4 simple things that you can do, oils that you can use that help you get a lot more benefit before and after doing any type of exercise. So on Instagram is the best place to find me right now. And I'm going to be putting a lot of information up there about upcoming projects I'm working on.
Awesome. Are you taking new clients?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Okay. I just wanted to know. I just wanted to, for people, if people were watching and they're like, hey, I want to reach out. So thank you for coming on. I probably will ask you to come back on to go deeper, but I appreciate you. Okay.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes.
All right, bye.